Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. First of all, I want to apologize for the last video that I posted, episode 3. The audio was pretty bad on that, so what I'm going to try to do is work on the editing piece and have smaller snippets where there's conversational pieces where I'll talk to you, and then while I'm working, try not to talk so much. That way you can actually hear what I'm trying to say and go over. We got an exciting episode today because this morning I was able to go pick up some parts. We got the parts back from powder coating, from Krantz powder coating in Beaver Dam, and I've got all the bearings set so we can press in the bearings. We can basically start putting the skeletal structure of this bike back together. There's a couple things. Update on the case. Not going to be able to use the weld that I did. So I contacted a welding shop. They said that basically where it's at, it's cracked all the way through. It's kind of a lost cause, but they would try. So I'm going to send that case just as a backup. I'll send it out and I'll see if they can repair it. And if they can, great. I'll have a backup. Maybe I can recoup some money and sell it. Hard to tell, but those things are not very common. Ended up having to get another right side engine case, one of two, and onto eBay or anywhere I could find. So it was kind of a bummer. Set me back and set a couple of the parts that I wanted to get back out of the budget. So basically, yeah, so today we are going to work on pressing some bearings. This weekend and throughout the next couple days, we'll start putting the skeletal structure of the bike together. So super exciting because this is the best time of the project where you've done a ton of cleaning and polishing. And now you're to the point to where you can start putting things together and seeing the actual masterpiece come together. So really excited. Haven't heard anything from Power Seal USA yet about the cylinder. We're going on 4 weeks. They said there was a 4 to 5 week turnaround, so optimistic that that'll be the next call. Let's get to work. All right, today's the day. Headed out to get the powder coated and Cerakoted parts from Krantz powder coating. Already on the road. Kind of a nasty day out. Got a little sidekick with me. Wanted to come along, so we're gonna go pick up these parts and put some stuff together. I'm excited. What I'm gonna do first is I'm going to pop out the bearings that I heated up and put into this busted case, because we are going to still use these in the new piece that we have coming. It's not here yet. So I'm going to heat this up, get these bearings out. Alright guys, we got the swing arm and the tubes that are black, burnt bronze, clutch cover and triple clamps and water pump. And I don't know about you, but I got this gun case when I sent my suspension off for the KTM. Shout out to Division Suspension East, Jesse Black. Set me up whenever I got that bike, and that suspension is so plush. But I got this gun case, and now it's going to be it's my mailer. I put my forks in my shock, in this case and ship it out because it's got the clips, and then I'll wrap it in duct tape to keep it closed with zip ties on both ends. Or whenever I have to go pick up parts from places like Krantz, I'll take this too. Obviously the swing arm doesn't fit in there, but everything else did, and it was a nice safe way to transport without damaging the coating. So some of the things that we did, he wrapped it all in plastic too. We did a weld on this. Turned out pretty good. Got to clean up those edges a little. But the chain rub, you can't really see that anymore. Looks pretty good. Looks good down that side. Looks a hell of a lot better than it did before. So we got the transmission bearings out. We got the studs out of that case. That's ready to be sent to the weld shop to see if they can fix it. So what I think I want to do is we should put those forks together. I've got the cartridges still hanging here. I've got the rebuild kit. So what I think I'm going to do for the bottom of the forks is just polish out the lugs on the bottom of the tubes. Just so you guys can see the difference. This is where we're at, and that's where we started. So you can see, I still have to polish it, and you can see some of the rough cut, but this was all pitted out and gray. As you get closer, you can see the pits in there. But then after a little bit, I mean, you're not going to be able to get all of them out of there, but that's only just a couple minutes worth of the that's the coarse SOS pad, or not SOS pad, but the coarse Brillo pad from Cameron, from Prime MX. So cuts into it pretty good. I think it was $20 for the kit. Came with 6 or 7 different pads, coarse and medium, and then you would just buff it out by hand with like a 600 grit and some mother's polish after that, and it'll shine. It'll be a mirror finish. But what we're going for is we're just going to clean this up, make it kind of look like it's from the factory again. So get rid of that old dirt and grime, cut through a little bit, not too much, and then clean it up. You'll see the difference, and then we'll put all the suspension back together. Got it nice and clean. And that's just with the rough polish. So what I'm going to do now is put on the detail to the medium grit, and then go over it real quick again. Try to get it polished, and then we will hit it with a microfiber or a rag with some others polish in them. Okay, so this one is ready to be put back together. What I typically do, what I did after I was done with the polishing discs, is I took some Mother's aluminum polish. It's the best stuff I've used. I've tried Brasso and a couple others, but this is actually the legit good stuff. cuts and polishes. Just dabbed it on all around with just an old rag and coated this lug all the way around. Let it dry a little bit and then use this microfiber to polish it off. Put it in the clamp here with some padding so I didn't scratch the tube, and then polished it off. And then in order to prep the tube for the suspension components, which are all fresh, we got a Pivot Works suspension rebuild kit. I have this little push rod, which is like an old steel pipe that fits right in the end of the shock right there. It doesn't have any burrs on the edge. If you use something like this, I would suggest like PVC is probably your best bet, so it doesn't scratch the inside of the tube where the bushings slide. But this also works if you're very, very careful. And I wrap the end of it with some shop towels and I press them down into the inside of the tube, and then I take parts cleaner and go around the inside of the tube, and it soaks into that paper towel at the bottom. Then I take this and push it slowly through to push the paper towel out. And that cleans the inside. I do that probably 4 or 5 times, and it cleans the inside of the fork tube out, gets all the oil out of it, all of any dirt or residue from the, from however long it was before and the previous oil. And now this one is ready to be put back together. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Polish it off with the mothers on the lug, and then clean the inside of the tube, and then we will clean this area and get it ready to put the forks back together. So we got everything cleaned up and we're getting ready to put the forks back together. We need to consult the manual in order to get our oil level amount, and then I need to search in this mess to see if I can find my fork oil. Hopefully I have enough. For this job, you will need a Motion Pro fork seal driver, a couple varying sizes of screwdrivers, Phillips and flathead, a fork wrench, a couple crescent wrenches, or one crescent wrench, and a 21mm socket. So consulting the manual, it looks like fork oil capacity standard is 12.9 ounces or 14.2 for slightly stiffer. As it nears full compression, we definitely don't want it softer because I'm a bigger guy, so we're going to do a little bit stiffer and put in 14.2. So what I like to do is I like to pour the fluid first so that air bubbles will dissipate out of it, because you don't want any air bubbles inside the cartridge. They make a filler, which is like a big syringe, and it basically has a tube that goes down into the fork, and you can press the exact amount in there. I'm not a pro, so I'm not terribly worried about that. As long as I have 14 ounces in each cartridge, then I'm good. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with one of the bottom end cartridge, and everything is nice and clean. So let's get our rebuild kit and replace these O-rings at the top. What do you get? All your O-rings, new clips, retainer clips, I like to just lay them all out. There should be 2 of each, 1 for each fork, obviously. That's all I see visibly on the cartridge. There's a lot of O-rings inside the cartridge. We're not messing with those because our cartridges are still actively charged and don't appear to have any kind of issues with that. So we're basically just doing the seals. Now, I don't use the seal bullet. It's a little rubber thing that goes over the end of this. Trick that a lot of people use is they'll lube up this, and then they'll also, before they lube it up, electrical tape. So we're going to wrap some electrical tape across the end of this so we can slide it over without damaging the seals. So not to contaminate my working space here, we'll lay this on the bench. But it went, not sure if you can see that. Try to get you a better view. It came off this direction, bushing, clip, bushing, washer, which we're going to reuse these washers, then the seal and the wiper. And it has to go back on the fork, slid on there in this direction. Otherwise, when you go to put it back together, it's going to be all catawampus, as they say. So we're going to follow this pattern. I also have one hanging up there I'll keep track of, but we'll follow this pattern and slide all the pieces back on there. All right, where were we? Now that we fixed our tape because it was catching, use a little oil, grease that up, seal first, or wiper, oh that's way better, wiper, then seal. The seal goes with the metal ring down. If you don't have oh, there's a metal ring on both sides, but the inside, the U shape goes up. So it's like it sits like this, like that. So just keep an eye on the seal. That goes on. Slide that on. Ooh, yeah, that feels good. And then the washer, clean the washer off. Now, the washer has a rounded edge and a sharp edge. I've never had any issues, and I've always put the rounded edge down so that the sharpest, flattest, longest edge sits down inside. So, then the washer, clip. We forgot to put the clip on because it was out of order here, but the clip goes in between the seal and the wiper. So seal, clip, wiper, seal, clip, washer, skinny bushing, which is this one with the bronze side out, and then the wider bushing that sits at the top up here. So this bronze bushing that sits on the inside, and then top cap bushing. And the top cap bushing, take it and put it up here, because we now that we have that stuff on, we can take our tape off and put the top cap bushing on, which will lock everything else on. So pull your tape off. Give it a little lube. Sits right on just like that. So now we grab the end. There's a little seal on the end cap here. We'll want to replace that. So we'll peel that off. For this one, there are two that come with your kit. There's a 1905. That is not it. And a 505. It's a little bit thicker diameter. That's the one that you want to use on this one. You use the little one and watch your ass, because next thing you know, you're out riding and you start pissing out all your fluid all over the track. What I did forget to say at the beginning, or mention at the beginning of the video, was that there's actually two special tools. One is the seal slide that goes over the top, which we just used electrical tape. This one, however, is not one that you can makeshift. You do not want to makeshift this one or use anything other than a seal driver. Motion Pro makes a seal driver. It works really good. Yeah, I mean, I beat the crap out of this one whenever I was learning. I should probably replace it, but the inside is good. And what it does is it breaks open and it just clamps around your forks so that you can set these seals. Once you have your bushings and everything on and that initial bushing set, you need to set this seal, or this bushing. So you're going to take your seal driver and it's going to assist you in setting all your seals. So don't pinch your desk. Effing things up here. This is the first time I've done this in a while too, so the second fork will be much smoother. Now the seal is down far enough. You want to get it past where this clip sits so that you can feed your clip in there. And I was wrong before. They don't give you replacement clips or washers. They give you wear rings. So make sure that your washer seats down inside there. Right down around the inside of that ring. Probably can't see it, but you'll know what I'm talking about once you get in there. It sits right inside that ring. Make sure it's seated all the way around. Yep, see, that would have been bad. Good. And then you can slide your wiper down, your dust wiper. Once you have your dust wiper, you just try to evenly seat it all the way around, one rib at a time. Do not use your seal driver on it. All you got to do is not be a weenus, and it will seat just like that all the way around. Then take your wear ring and put your wear ring in. Now, I probably should have put this on before. There we go. good. Pull that out. Make sure it slides freely. Now you can drop your spring in. Set your cartridge in. Just thread it down to the seal. You don't have to thread it all the way. And turn it back over, turn it upside down. Put your wear rod in, or your stanchion rod. Turn it until it sits down in the groove. Sometimes you can use the screwdriver. Yep, to make sure it's seated. Take a little bit of, you're supposed to use blue Loctite, but I don't have any, so I'm just using literally 1 dot. And by that I mean like nothing on the red. And I also grease these, so once this dries, it's not going to be permanent. But yeah, you're supposed to use blue on the bottom. Make sure your seal's clean. And take your crescent wrench, push down on it, and pop that up through the bottom. And just grab a hold of it with the crescent wrench underneath that, just to hold it still. While you screw that end on. Do not use Loctite on that portion. Push down again. There's 2 flat spots here and here. You'll just turn it so that it sets inside that with your crescent wrench. Kind of a bitch because you got your spring pushing back and fighting you. And then give it a little torque, not too tight. Loosen it up and let the spring seat the end piece. This is a 19, I think, or 21. This is a 20. So, no, it's 21. 21. And so you don't want to, in an effort not to mess up your threads, push down your spring a little bit and take the tension off of it while you find the thread. And then just use your hand to tighten it. Whoever put these back together before used so much torque. You saw in the previous video, I had to use my impact to get it open, which is ridiculous. You shouldn't need that much force. So just take your wrench, hold it with your hand, and tighten it down. Let the O-ring do the rest of the sealing. And that's it. Now she's back together and ready to accept the oil. And just pour it in very slowly. I just hold the tip of the measuring cup against the cartridge so that it doesn't hit anything in there and slosh and create an air bubble. I just let it run down the inside of the cartridge. Screw your cap back on down to the O-ring. Clean it off. and get your fork wrench. You can use a big wrench. I've restored bikes that people have used channel locks before. Just makes the top of this look like shit. And that's not what we're going for. Again, doesn't need to be freaking King Kong grip tight. Just needs to let that O-ring do the sealing, and you just torque the top of this one hand tight. Just like the other one, we have the seal, the clip, or the dust wiper, the clip, the seal, the washer, the first brass side out bearing or bushing, and then the one that clips right into the top. Make sure you grease it up real good. Same with this one. Now we're ready for the fork tube. Then you can put your spring in, your cartridge, and thread it just up to the seal. Don't go past that seal because you don't want to hit that seal through those threads more than the one time you install it and the one time you have to take it out to rebuild. Dampening rod, seal, and then just a good hand torque. Now, the fluid. There's your second one. All right, so it was pretty productive Saturday. We got both of the forks. We got everything back from powder coating, and then we put the forks together. Went through 2 different motions for you guys on the forks so that hopefully you were able to grasp the concept and have a procedure to follow. Then the next day on Sunday, I actually did a couple different things on Sunday. Went and picked up a surprise for the family, and then also pulled the mini bikes out. That'll be a separate video. Put some graphics on Little Dude's Honda, and then pulled the KTM SXF50 engine out so that I can diagnose why I lost compression on a brand new build. So probably user error, that happens. Just something you got to work through. But for the most part, it was a super productive weekend. I'm going to continue working. Next week, we're going to have some swing arm bearing press videos. We're going to have a final polish and sand, wet sand on the frame. And then I'm going to put the linkage and the triple clamps and the swing arm on the frame and put the skeletal structure of the bike together. I've got the new right side case coming in, which should have been here today, but it wasn't. So it'll probably be here tomorrow. Tomorrow night I will put the transmission back together. So I'm gonna have a whole string of videos here in the next couple days. I'm trying to do one per week, so I might string it out, but we're actually hitting a really good acceleration point for this build. So we're gonna see an engine in the frame and a actual rolling frame without plastics within the next couple weeks. So this is the best part of the build. All the cleaning's done, which sucks. So now we just get to put the new stuff back together. So stay tuned. If you like what you're seeing so far and you want to see how this thing looks at the end, definitely hit subscribe. Tell your friends about the channel. If you need some CR tips or you want to give me some tips on how I'm doing it, that'd be great. I'm just winging this. I'm not a certified technician, so I really appreciate you guys watching. And yeah, until the next video, thanks.